So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever, predicted something match by match? Even if it was just scene by scene, or if you're just watching a movie and you predict what's happening next, and it goes almost the complete opposite way of how you predicted it? Well, tonight, that happened to me. Well, without further ado, I'm Kevin Jones, the Disciples of Wrestling, and let me break down this Hell in a Cell recap. So we start off the night, and it is for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It is inside the Hell in a Cell, and it is with the challenger Bayley versus the champion Miss Bianca Belair. Now we start off in this match, and they go straight after each other. But of course, the brawl favors the much stronger Miss Bianca Belair. Bayley decides to go under the ring to get some chairs to bring into her favor, but Bianca turns the tables with a drop kick. Now as Bianca gets some offense in, Bayley ends up meeting her at the top rope, where she ends up taking down Bianca and ends up shoving her into the ring post, focusing on her left arm. Now, Bianca Belair starts to get in some offense, but of course, Bayley ends up stopping this right away, where she ends up reversing right on the outside of the ring and ends up building enough momentum to where she hits a flip powerbomb onto the Hell in a Cell structure. Now, while Bayley's looking to get in some offense, Bianca ends up reversing this with a nice spine buster that are put through a pile of kendo sticks that Miss Bayley ends up setting up outside the ring. So we go back into the ring, and Bayley looks to build some momentum with a steel chair. Now, Bianca ends up reversing it as Bayley ends up getting hit with the steel chair onto her left knee when she looks to go attack Bianca. Now, of course, Bianca ends up getting her ponytail getting tied up to almost every object throughout the match. So she ends up getting back at Bayley by tying her ponytail to Bayley's left wrist. Now, she ends up beating Bayley just pretty much all up around the ring, inside and outside, all up until Bayley's able to sneak a ladder from underneath the ring to attack Bianca. And she just slams Bianca in between the ladder throughout pretty much a portion of the match, even hitting the rose plant to the point where she ends up hurting her knee that she ended up aggravating earlier. And then she ends up trying to go after Bianca as Bianca's looking to roll out of the ring. She ends up being able to pin Bianca, but it was all for a near fall. Now, Bianca, right after this near fall, ends up getting up and starts building momentum as she ends up hitting a glam slam onto Bayley onto the top turnbuckle. Then after that, she ends up pushing Bayley onto the ladder and hits a nice senton, and then sets up the ladder to where she hits a nice KOD on Bayley right onto the ladder to get the pinfall and successfully retain her SmackDown Women's Championship. So after this great match, we go on to our second match, and it is Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. Now, while Cesaro is making his entrance, we get Seth Rollins attacking Cesaro once again. And we start right into a brawl. Even when the bell rings, we see the brawl start. And of course, this goes in the favor of Cesaro all up until Seth Rollins gets a nice drop toe hold, bringing Cesaro right into the middle turnbuckle. Now, we end up seeing Seth Rollins being able to slow down the pace significantly for himself, all up until Cesaro is able to build momentum by reining in the uppercuts. He's even able to reverse Seth Rollins' superplex attempt and even hit a crossbody. But unfortunately, Seth Rollins ends up rolling through this, getting a near fall, and starts taking the momentum back in the match. Now, while Seth Rollins is still in control, we end up seeing him going for the armbar on the injured arm that Cesaro's had for the past few weeks. Then we actually see him hit the Falcon Arrow for another near fall. Of course, while Cesaro is looking to build up momentum once again, we end up seeing him reverse Rollins for the Cesaro swing, and then converting that into the sharpshooter and then into the crossface. Now, while Seth Rollins looking to go to break up the hold by going to the middle rope, we end up seeing Cesaro stopping him, bringing him into the middle of the ring, even taking his left arm and looking to stomp on it, where Seth Rollins ends up reversing this for a roll-up and ultimately the win. Now, this is when the show starts to get a little rocky. So we go to our third match, and it is Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler. And how we start off this match is by Reggie distracting Miss Alexa Bliss. And then, of course, Shayna goes right into the attack. But Shayna is confused because Alexa has a smile on her face. And Alexa attacks, all up until she gets lost into Reggie's eyes as she's looking to put him in a trance again. And then Shayna ends up attacking again and goes right after the left arm. And as Shayna is attacking the left arm, they get in eye-to-eye contact. And it looks like Alexa Bliss is about to put Shayna in a trance, all up until Shayna snaps out of it. And then Alexa Bliss snaps. She ends up taking solid control of the match, all up until she gets eye-to-eye contact with Nia Jax. And she convinces Nia Jax to attack and take out Reggie, all up until Shayna Baszler is able to get in the Karakuda clutch for an attempt. And then we end up seeing Alexa Bliss turn the offense around once again as she hits her own variation of the Sister Abigail into the Twisted Bliss for the win. Now, I'm not going to lie. While I was watching this match, I was really confused because Bliss looks amazing in her new character with her great aggressive offense, but we don't need this trance thing right now. We don't need this. So on from that match, let's go to the next one. Let's bring this back on track with KO versus Sami Zayn. And as we start this match, KO goes right after Sami, and he has solid control of this match. Now, Sami tries to get a little bit of offense in, but KO is not having it. Now, unfortunately, KO's breath starts troubling him, and this is in effect of when a Commander Aziz hit the Nigerian nail right up in that little throat area right there. Now, of course, this ends up affecting him to where he ends up trying to hit a swanton off the apron and misses it tremendously as Sami looked to reverse it. And, of course, when he ends up bringing KO back in the ring and hits a Blue Thunder Brawl for a near fall. Now, while Sami's in control, Sami gets hit by the stunner on the outside of the ring and almost gets counted out. Now, of course, as KO's breathing has been troubling him a lot of the match, when KO looks to go for that last little ditch effort to take away Sami Zayn in the match, Sami ends up reversing his offense and hits the haluva kick for the win. Now, remember when I was like, we back on track? Yeah, this is when it starts to get rocky again in the show. So we have the match for the Raw Women's Championship, and it is the challenger, Miss Charlotte Flair, versus the champion, Miss Rhea Ripley. Now we start off the match. Actually, before we start the match, where they doing the title presentation, well, Charlotte takes the title, throws it at Rhea's face, and punches her in the most disrespectful manner to start this match. So Rhea upset. She start the match. So we get right into it, and they brawl, and it's in the favor of Miss Rhea Ripley. All up until Rhea's like, let's get creative. And she goes to the top rope. And then Charlotte just give her this biggest boot right directed to her right leg. And it just goes downhill for Rhea. She even goes after the knee that she booted earlier. And that's Charlotte's target for the most part of this match. Now, Rhea does a little bit of something. She gets a nice missile drop kick off the top. But Charlotte, she took control as, she went right after the knee. And then she hits this nice she hits first the little natural selection she got in her arsenal. Then she hit a double moonsault and even the fake rolling elbow to take out Rhea in the match. Now, y'all, Rhea, she down, but she not out because she hits a nice superplex and then she hits the riptide. But the thing is, she hits the riptide near the ropes. And of course, that's the lack of experience. And while she's going for the pinfall, Charlotte gets her leg on the bottom rope. And then we end up going to the outside where Charlotte rolled out. And then we get Rhea Ripley going right after her. And this is just the emotion. And of course, Charlotte reverses it and goes after the injured knee. And then she ends up bringing this thing back into the ring. And she locks in the figure four. Now Rhea's panicking. So she drags her and Charlotte outside the ring. And she finally breaks it. And when she looks to get in some offense on Charlotte, she ends up taking the top of the commentary table and she throws it at Charlotte's face. And it's a DQ. Yep, it's a disqualification. That's how we ended this match. And then they brawl. like they've been doing weeks and weeks and weeks on Raw. And then we go into the ring and Rhea hits the riptide, just leaving Charlotte on her back. But Charlotte won the match and Rhea retained her title. That's what happened. So, it's okay. That was another bad finish. But, we got something in store for y'all because it's time for the main event. And it is the challenger, Drew McIntyre versus the WWE champion, the almighty WWE champion, Bobby Lashley, inside the Hell in a Cell. And we starting strong. They brawl right away. But, not really, because Bobby went to go try to get weapons from underneath the ring. And Drew just went to go follow him. And Drew just beat this poor man down all around the ring. Like, this man is having a field day with poor little Bobby. And he just beating him down. And as, Drew looking to get a little creative, you know what I'm saying? We see MVP end up bringing in his cane to help Bobby Lashley out. And he hits Drew right in the throat. Now, all this really did was create separation. Because when Bobby looked to get in some offense, Drew just spent this thing around. And he ends up hitting the white noise on the steel stairs on Bobby. And, he just goes back to what he was doing. He ends up using the chair and just beating down poor Bobby. Then he hits a nice little reverse, little Alabama slam on Bobby. Then he hits a powerbomb on Bobby. And it's not looking good for the WWE champ. Now, while Drew is having the time of his life, he grabs the steel stairs and looks to take out Bobby Lashley some more, add some more punishment. But Bobby catches it. And, in the most disrespectful way possible, he used the steel stairs against Drew for Drew to hit himself in the head. And then we see MVP get interference from the outside of the Hell in a Cell with the kendo stick to jam in poor little Drew to get pummeled and punished by Bobby. Then we end up seeing Bobby just beat this man around the ring again. And now Drew looking to get in some offense, but Drew ends up getting led to taking out the referee. And then, Drew, in typical babyface fashion, he ends up taking control of the match again. He even hits the Claymore. So they have to rush out a referee to get the pin on Drew. So while Drew's getting the pin on Bobby, we end up seeing as he's about to hit for the 3 count, we see MVP drag out the referee. And Drew's not having it. And MVP's like, it's okay, this cell's still open. So as he goes to turn to go outside of the Hell in a Cell, he goes to see that the cell is relocked again. So Drew just takes out MVP. Now, of course, while Drew is taking out MVP, Bobby ain't having this. So he locks in the Hurt Lock on the outside of the ring. Well, Drew's like, something got to give. So he ends up ramming him and Bobby through the prop table that is on the outside of the ring. And then, of course, he ends up bringing Bobby back in the ring. And then, of course, he beats him down some more. He takes the steel chair and just beat down Bobby. And then, of course, sets him up with this future shock DDT and then looks to hit the Claymore. But as he's looking to hit the Claymore and count it down, MVP grabs his ankle. And as MVP grabbed his ankle, Bobby went for the schoolboy and he ends up grabbing the tights. And it is a 1-2-3 win for the WWE champion as he successfully retains. So what does that mean? It means that as long as long as Bobby Lashley, I'm staying corrected. As long as Bobby is the champion, Drew McIntyre cannot challenge for the WWE championship. Now, you want to know what my response is? Who Bobby gonna defend it against then? Like if Drew is not champ, and if Drew can no longer go after the championship, who challenging for the championship? Because I got nobody. So, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all can tell by my little sass throughout this video, remember when I talked about how, when you predict something and almost the exact opposite happens? Well, just look at my predictions video. You will see the proof in the pudding. I got 2 matches right throughout the entire night. So I'm a little hurt. But, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Because outside of losing tonight, it was all right. You know what I'm saying? It was all right. A little bit of crazy, shenanigans with some endings. But the Hell in a Cell matches were good. They were. So, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am Kevin Jones, Disciples of Wrestling, and that was wrestling.